Take your feet nice and wide and sway those legs side to side a few times for a couple windshield wiper, a couple more windshield wipers. You can let your head look the opposite direction of your knees. Be a little cervical movement there. We'll go for a couple more each direction. It's a good time to check in and see how your back is feeling and your hips. And then bring that back to the center. Keep your feet nice and wide. And just take an inhale as you let your knees come together. And then on your exhale, open those knees out away from each other. Inhaling as your knees come together. Exhaling to open out away. And just two more of these. One more time. And then place your feet back flat on the mat. Walk them a little bit closer to each other. You can peek up and make sure your knees look nice and even. And then from here, we're just going to do a little shoulder mobility. So you're going to inhale, reach the arms overhead, reaching for the floor behind you, and then exhale to float those arms back down. Inhaling to reach, exhaling to float back down. And just go as far as it feels comfortable. Making sure you don't move into any discomfort, right? Just trying to see how far those shoulders will comfortably go this morning. Go for one more. And then float those arms back down. From here, we're going to do a little bit of pelvic stability exercise. All right, so this is one of those ones where it's nice to put your hands on your hips if that gives you some good feedback, or you can keep your arms long by your side. Make sure your head is comfortably supported so you don't get any tension in your neck and your shoulders. We're going to keep the pelvis nice and stable and neutral as you open the right leg out to the side. Inhale to bring it back to the center, and then exhale to open left. So we're getting a little bit of hip mobility work while we work on stabilizing the pelvis and the low back, just waking up those deep core muscles. Try not to bring any tension into your neck and your shoulders. Good, you guys. Opening and closing. Let's do two more on each side. Inhale to open, exhale to close the knee. Inhale to open, exhale to close. One more time, right. And one more time to the left. Okay, then we'll make that a little bit more challenging by adding a little marching to that. So keeping the pelvis nice and stable. On your next exhale, march the right leg up to tabletop. Inhale to place the foot down. Exhale to lift left. Inhale down, exhale lift. Inhale down, exhale lift. And as you're marching those legs one at a time, up and down, try to keep the back of the shoulders, the back of the rib cage, and the back of the hips nice and heavy, maintaining that natural little space in between your low back and the mat, and even weight through your hips left to right. Go for one more time each leg, lifting and lowering nice and smoothly. And then you're going to bring that right leg up to tabletop and hold it there. Keep the weight nice and even through the hips left to right. Take an inhale here, and on your exhale, straighten that leg. Inhale to bend it back in, exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend, exhale to straighten. And notice that the lower you straighten that leg, the more you have to pull those abdominals in to help stabilize the low back and keep it from popping away from the floor. So you can take that leg as low as it feels comfortable. Let's go for two more of these. Hold your leg straight on that next one. On your inhale, lift that leg up. On your exhale, flex the foot and lower down with control. Inhale to point lift, exhale to flex lower. So you can keep that leg nice and straight. Try to relax the neck and the shoulders. And try to keep just as much weight on that left hip as you have on your right. Last two. Good, last one. And then you're going to bend your knee and place your foot down. Then pause for a second, rock your hips side to side. And then land where you feel like you've got your weight nice and even on your hips. And you'll bring that left leg up to tabletop. Take an inhale, prepare. Exhale to straighten that leg. Inhale to bend it back in. Exhale to straighten. Bending and straightening. Remember, the lower you go with that straight leg, the harder it is for those abdominals to stabilize you. So go to what feels like a good, stable challenge this morning. Nice, you guys. Two more. And on this last one, you're going to hold that leg straight. Take an inhale as you lift it up to the ceiling. Exhale, flex the foot and lower down. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex, lower. Inhale, point, lift. Exhale, flex lower. Keep those ribs gently pulling together from the front to keep the back of the rib cage down on the mat. Last two. Point lift, flex lower. One more time. Good, bend your knee and place that foot down. Bring your feet and your knees all the way together to touch. Keep them glued together, arms out to a low V, and you'll exhale, rotate those legs to the right. Left hip can lift a little bit. Inhale to the center, exhale to the left. So we're rotating the pelvis and the low spine to create the movement of the knees side to side. Inhale through center, exhale to twist. So you might feel a little bit more oblique work, a little more waistline work here, helping control this movement. Go for one more time each direction. Last time to the left. And then bring that back to the center. Bring one knee in and then the other. Hug underneath those knees and just pull those legs in. Give them a little rock side to side if it feels good. Squeeze it in, let your low back gently round toward the floor for a little stretch. And then you're gonna hold on to the backs of the thighs, but let your legs reach away from you so your arms are straight. Okay, so legs are just resting in those straight arms. You're gonna flex the feet, reach up until you feel a stretch. It doesn't matter if the legs are straight or not. And then relax and bend the knees again. So we're going up for a little double hamstring stretch and then relaxing and coming out of it. Inhale to flex the feet, reach up for the stretch. Exhale to rebend. Good, inhale to flex, reach. And see if you can keep your back nice and neutral. Keep that little space in between your low back and the mat for your couple little blueberries that you've got there, right? You don't want to smash them. Go for one more. We're going to hold that gentle stretch and gently point flex your feet. Take a couple breaths here. All right, while we've got these legs up, let's do a little scissor. So you're going to reach up and grab hold of the back of the right knee or the calf. Keep your head nice and heavy on your head prop. Pull that right leg towards you as you scissor your left leg away from you. And then switch. Give a little tug on your inhale. Exhale to switch. Inhale to tug. Exhale, switch. Inhale, a little pull on that leg. Exhale, switch. And your scissors can be as little or as big as it feels comfortable this morning. Just adding a little extra stretch to the hamstrings. Keep the head and the shoulders heavy. Exhale and switch. Good. This is a lot of good abdominal work too. One more set. And then bend both of those knees in. You can take your feet and your knees nice and wide. Pull the legs in. You can either rock side to side or just hold here and take a couple big breaths. It might feel good to do a couple foot circles. Circling those feet a couple times in each direction. All right, nicely done. Bring those feet down to the floor. All right, so let's get straight into some hip lifts, some bridging. Okay, so you're gonna slide your head prop off to the side if you have a head prop underneath your head. We want our heads to start nice and low when we lift our hips up so there's no extra tension on the knee, on the neck. So you're gonna keep your feet nice and evenly weighted left to right, knees nice and deeply bent as much as it's comfortable. And then you're gonna press your arms down into the mat. And let's go with a flat back to lift up. And let's pause at the top of this first one. You want to make sure that you lift up only high enough to feel the weight across the top of the shoulder blades. The neck should be easy here. Push evenly into your feet. Keep your glutes nice and tight, like you're trying to tuck your tailbone under. And connect those ribs in the front. Take one more big full breath here. And then on your exhale, let's soften the chest and roll down. One vertebra at a time as it's comfortable. Take an inhale at the bottom. Exhale, squeeze your glutes flat back. Lift straight up. Hold for an inhale. Exhale to soften the chest and roll it back down. So we're doing a little combination here. Take an inhale at the bottom. Exhale, squeeze the glutes. Flat back to lift up and open up the hip joints. Inhale, hold. And then exhale, soften the chest and roll down. Let's do two more. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale, squeeze the glutes, lift up. Inhale, hold. Exhale, soften and roll down. One more time. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale to lift. Inhale, hold. And exhale to roll it back down. Okay, from here, take your feet just a little bit wider. So a little bit wider than hip distance, or a little bit wider than sit bone distance, so that they're out around hip distance. Okay, so maybe just an inch or two wider than where they were. You're going to gently dig your heels down, right? You're going to keep the heels digging down into the floor with the balls of the feet lifted. Okay, and then from here, we're going to do flat back up and down. So you're going to exhale as you lift those hips up, inhale as you lower the glutes down. Exhale to lift up, inhale to lower down. So we're really opening up the hip joint as we lift those hips up, hinging at the hip crease, keeping the spine nice and long. You might feel this a little bit more in your thighs or your glutes. With those heels digging down. Go for one more time. And then lower all the way down. Place those feet back down. Take your feet nice and wide. Do a couple windshield wipers side to side. And then we're going to do one more set of bridging. It's just a little easy movement here. And then we'll do our last set. Okay, so bring that back in. Peek up, squirt your head with your hands. Peek up at your knees. Make sure that your knees look even, right? If your feet are really crooked, your knees will tell you that story. Okay, so get your feet and knees nice and even, and we're going to do one more set of bridging. And this time, if it's comfortable for your back, you can try to roll up and down. So take an inhale here. On your exhale, use your abs to imprint the low back down to the mat. Then squeeze the glutes, engage the thighs to roll you the rest of the way up. Pause at the top for an inhale. Exhale to soften the chest and roll back down. Now, if rolling up and down doesn't feel good or appropriate for your back this morning, remember, you can always do this with a flat back. Exhaling as you lower, inhaling to neutral at the bottom, exhaling to roll and lift back up. Inhale, hold, exhale it back down. Push evenly into those feet, left to right. Inhaling once you get to the shoulder blades, exhaling to roll back down. One more time. Roll it up and stay up. We're going to keep those hips nice and high. Try to keep the hip bones level here. Take an inhale, and on your exhale, see if you can bring that right leg up to tabletop. Inhale to put the foot back down, and exhale to march that left leg up. Inhale to place the foot down. Now, if lifting one leg does not feel good this morning for whatever reason, you're just going to hold your bridge with both feet down and breathe. Well, that's great work for those hip extenders. Good. Exhale to lift, right? All those glute and thigh work, keeping those hips extended. Pause here, take a big inhale, opening up the hips a little bit more if you can. And then on your exhale, soften your chest and roll all the way down. And hug your knees into your chest. Good work. You can rock side to side. I'll give you a little low back massage. All right, just in case you need a little hamstring stretch after all that good hip extension work, let's take one. So you're gonna bring the feet down to the mat. You can take your hip prop back underneath you. You want a little neck and shoulder support. Now hold on to the back of just your right thigh. Okay, just interlace your fingers. Let your thigh rest in your hands. Flex that foot. Reach up for a nice hamstring stretch. And then just a little gentle point and flex of the foot. Let your breath slow down a little bit. Woo. A little ankle pop there. And then let's cross that right ankle over your left thigh to stretch the outside of that right hip. Now, this might feel like a great stretch right here. If you feel like you need a little bit more, you're just going to pull that left leg in until you feel a stretch on the outside and back of the right hip. And take a couple nice deep breaths here. Try to let your neck and your shoulders relax as much as you can. Those hips just did some good work for you. And then unwind. Place both feet back down again. Pause for a second. Just notice the difference that you might feel left to right. And then you'll hold on to the back of that left thigh. Flex the foot. Reach up, get a good stretch. And then hold that stretch as you point and flex your foot a few times. Breathe in nice and steady. Nice. And then you're going to cross the left ankle over the right thigh, right? Trying to get a stretch on the outside of that left hip, back of the thigh. And then if you need more, you're going to pull in. And if you're like me, one side's tighter than the other. This is definitely my tighter side. Just hold and breathe. And then really feel that stretch through the outside and back of the hip and thigh. And take one more big full breath here. And then unwind. Okay, from here, I'm gonna roll onto the side. All right, so you come onto your side and your head prop will be really handy. So whether you have a towel or a blanket folded up or a little pillow like I've got, you're gonna want that underneath your head. We're gonna do some telescope arms. So we'll do some nice rotation. And you wanna make sure you've got plenty of head prop behind you so that you can roll onto the back of your head and shoulders there. So knees are just bent in a comfortable amount. You're gonna stack the arms, reach the top arm forward. And then on your exhale, bend that arm as you reach it across your body and rotate out to the side, letting your shoulders follow the rotation of the rib cage and the spine, and then rebend the arm and retrace your steps. So inhaling to reach, exhaling to bend and open. Inhaling to hold, and exhaling to bend and bring it back across. So keep going. We're gonna go for 5 on each side. And a lot of times, like me, right, I'm healing from a shoulder injury. So my rotations with my right shoulder right here are a lot smaller than what they're gonna be on the left side, which is totally fine. Just meet your body wherever it's comfortable on this side. Last time. Let the head roll with you. And then bring it back over. All right, so from here, you wanna make sure you've got a little bit more head support. So I'm just gonna fold up my pillow. You can fold up your towel or add extra head support, whatever you need to. So you wanna make sure that your head is nice and even with the rest of your spine here and your shoulders aren't crunched. And then we're gonna keep those feet and knees stacked together, but we're gonna back the knees up a little bit. So you're gonna kick your bum, your heels back in line with your bum. So you're in a nice straight long line from head to tail to feet. And then we clam shell. So we're gonna open and close, getting in some good clam shells here. Keeping the feet together, opening that top knee, spiraling it up toward the ceiling, as high as you can, keeping your hip stable, right? So thinking of the pelvis staying really stable while that leg is moving. Good, nice. Go for 2 more. Good, you guys. Last one. And then we're gonna lift and lower that top leg like we're hiking the leg up and down. Yeah, trying to keep the shin parallel to the bottom shin. You can kind of think about leading the lift with your thigh bone. It'll help you feel a little bit more hip work. Keeping the ribs gently connected in the front and the head as heavy as possible. Lift and lower. A little lift of your waist away from the floor. Good. Last one. All right. You're gonna stretch that top leg out. Flex the foot, really reach through your heel. On your inhale, kick the leg forward. On your exhale, point the foot and pull the thigh back. Good. Inhale, flex, kick. And exhale, point, pull. So you want to try to keep the torso nice and long and stable. So again, pelvis and low back are staying really stable as that leg is kicking forward and back. You can kind of think about that front hip bone, right? Trying to keep that front hip bone really still against the movement of the leg. Good, 2 more. And point, pull, 1 more time, flex, reach. Point, pull, hold that leg back. You're gonna go for little controlled circles, circling that thigh bone, back behind you a little bit if you can. Good and challenging, keeping those hip extensors working again. And then reverse those circles. Breathe nice and steady here, try to keep the ribs connected. Good, you guys. 3 more, 2, 1. Relax that leg down for a second. But wait, there's 1 more. Okay, so we're gonna do 1 more set. So you're gonna stretch both of those legs out. We haven't done this one in a while. Stretch both of those legs out. We're gonna flex the feet. You're gonna bring your bottom leg forward just a little bit and keep it down on the floor. You're gonna pull the top leg back so it's in line with your bum. And then you're gonna lift and lower from here. And just having that bottom leg straight makes the balance a little bit harder. You probably feel that. So we're balancing on that little hip bone down on the mat, trying to reach through your top heel as you lift and lower that leg. Nice, you guys. Last 3, 2. Good, 1 more time. And now you can bend that top knee, let it rest in front of you, give your hip a little pound. Good job. Right, so anytime you're doing your side leg work straightening out your bottom leg just makes it a little bit more challenging for your torso to stabilize and balance. You don't have the little kickstand of your bottom knee anymore. All right, that looked great. Let's push up and go to the other side. So you're just going to take your pillow or your head prop, whatever you're using, over to the other side. And we'll come down and we'll start with those telescope arms. So we get to start with that nice rotation. All right, so make sure you've got a little lower head prop because we're going to be rolling onto the back of the head. You're going to reach forward on your inhale, and on your exhale, bend the top arm, reach across the body, rotate and open. Take a big inhale, and then on your exhale, rebend the arm and retrace your steps. So you want to make sure that you're really rotating the torso, rotating the spine and the shoulder, rib cage, and the shoulders and the head are following the line of that rotation. So keep looking toward the arm that's reaching. We'll get 2 more on this side. Keep your head nice and heavy. Just go as far as it feels comfortable to stretch. And then bring it back over one more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale to rotate, open, big breath. And then pull it all the way back over. All right. Fold up that head prop. Give yourself a little bit more support. Okay. So again, you want to think about lining up your head, shoulders, bum, and feet against a little imaginary wall so that you're in a nice straight long line. Ribs are connected in the front and gently lifted up away from the floor, your waistline, gently lifted up away from the floor. And then we'll go for clam shells. So you're going to keep those feet together as you open and close the top knee. All right, now I've got my hand on my top hip bone. Right, keeping that hip bone still, trying really hard to not let it roll forward and back as the leg is moving. Stabilizing the pelvis, stabilizing the low back, working that top hip and thigh. Good, 2 more. Nice, you guys, last one. And then we've got a hike of the leg, lifting and lowering, trying to guide the movement, lead the movement with your thigh. Good. Just notice your upper body. See if you can let go of any tension you might have in your neck and your shoulders in case they're trying to help. Exhaling to lift, inhaling to lower. Last 2. Last 1. Good. All right, you're going to stretch that top leg out, flex the foot, and think about really reaching the foot out away from you. So keeping some good length through your torso as you kick that leg forward, and then point the foot and pull the thigh back. Inhale, flex, kick. Exhale, point, pull. Inhale, flex, kick. Exhale, point, pull. And again, try to keep your pelvis and your spine and your rib cage nice and straight and stable, nice and still. Inhale, flex, kick. Exhale, point, pull. Last 2. Last 1. You're gonna pull that thigh back, keep it back in line with your hip as you do little controlled circles. Breathe in nice and steady here. Trying to circle that thigh bone behind your hip a little bit. So we're really working those hip extensors again. Good, and reverse those circles. Again, check in with your head and your shoulders and your neck. Try to keep everything heavy and relaxed as you can. 3, 2, 1. Let that leg rest for just a second. Okay, we're going to stretch both the legs out. We got 1 more set. So you're going to stretch both of those legs out nice and long. Flex the feet. Take your bottom foot forward, a footprint, okay? Keep pushing it down into the mat. Lift and lower that back leg. So you're pulling that back thigh back a little bit. So maybe it's behind you 1/2 inch or so. Really working on those glutes and that thigh. Lifting and lowering, reaching through the heel, keeping the leg really parallel. Good, you guys. 3 more. 2. Last 1. And then you can rest that leg down and give your hip a little pound. Nicely done. Congratulate your hips on a job well done. All right. So from here, let's come up and do just a quick little seated stretch for that. Okay, so you're going to slowly push yourself up to seated. And then once you get comfortable in seated, we're just going to take our legs into an open cross seat. Okay, so I've got you can bring your right leg in front, you mirror me. So you've got your right leg in front, and let your legs just kind of open away from each other. Okay, and then try with a flat back. You can either pull at your knees to pull yourself forward with a flat back, or you can reach forward. But the straighter your back is, and the more you can think about reaching your tail feathers and your bum out behind you, the more you're going to stretch that hip where we just worked it. Right? Hopefully you're feeling that a little bit on the outside of that hip. So just take another breath or two there. You can always use your pad underneath your knee if you need a little support for the knees in this position. Okay, so use that if you need to. Take one more big full breath here. And then lean back, switch the cross of the legs. Again, just kind of keep the legs open and away from each other. Nice, and then pull forward. And again, if you need a little support for either knee, you can just let the pillow be underneath one knee, and that'll give you a little support. Sometimes that's all we need to get our knees comfortable in this position. You can always do the same stretch in figure 4 lying on your back, where we cross one foot over the opposite thigh like we did earlier in class, if this isn't comfortable. Take one more big full breath here. Nice. And then you'll lean back. All right, so let's just stretch those legs out in front for a second. Stretch the legs out in front. Take your arms behind you. Okay, and your hands can be as wide as they need to be for comfort for your shoulders. Okay, try to get your fingertips facing back. They can also be facing to the side if that's more comfortable. Okay, so once you feel like you've got your hands in a position that's comfortable for you to hold, I'm going to try to resist gravity, right, and keep your chest gently lifted, and then we're going to flex and point those feet. Right, flex and point a few times. Good, and then some circles. My socks are sticking to my mat this morning. Taking my socks right off my feet, reverse those circles. You've got a good view of what's going on here. Try to really move those feet without moving your legs. And then bend and straighten your knees, a little pat and a little swish in and out. Okay, so from here, we're gonna do a little seated work, okay? So take your head prop, whatever you're using as your head prop, and make it a little thicker, a little fatter, and put it between your knees. Okay, so we're gonna give those knees and those inner thighs something to do, something to hold on to. So you're just gonna squeeze that gently. You're gonna keep your heels down, but your legs out in front of you quite a bit. So your knees aren't super deeply bent, right? They're a little farther away from you. So the balls of my feet are not down on the mat, just my heels are. Squeeze that little head prop that you got between your knees, and then sit nice and tall. And take your hands to the backs of your thighs to help you get nice and tall. Okay, feel your weight even on those sit bones. You're gonna take an inhale here. And then on your exhale, you're going to hinge with a flat back, holding onto your thighs so you got a little support. And then inhale to come forward again. Exhale to hinge back, going as far as it feels like a stable, comfortable range of motion. So your hinge might be a couple inches, or it might be a little farther even to your arm straightening. See if you can feel that 360 degrees of core work right around the torso. Inhale to come forward. Now, if these are feeling fairly easy and you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can do the same exact exercise with your arms reaching forward. So now your arms are not giving you any support. You're exhaling to hinge back with a flat back, inhaling to come forward. Go for 3 more, whether your arms are out in front or you're holding onto the backs of your thighs. Last 2. Keep squeezing that little head prop between your knees. Last 1. And then come all the way up. Nicely done. Okay, if it feels good, you can hold on to the backs of your thighs and round your spine a little bit. A little scoop, a little stretch at the low back. And then come all the way back up. All right, nicely done. Okay, so we're gonna come to all fours. We're gonna open up the front of the hips a little bit after that exercise. So you're gonna come down onto your hands and knees. Remember, you've got lots of options for patting your knees and your hands here. Obviously, you can take your prop or your pillow or an extra blanket underneath your knees. You can also roll up your mat. Take your hands to the edge of the mat. Let your fingers be down, right, for a little wrist support. So do what you need to do so that you're comfortable here. Okay, we're gonna go through a little cat-cow, and then we'll open up the front of the hips a little bit. So you're gonna take an inhale as you stick your bum out, let your belly drop. Open and lift your chest up. On your exhale, scoop up the abdominals, round the spine up towards the ceiling, letting your hips fall last. Inhale to extend tail to head. Make sure you're pushing the floor away and lifting the chest. Exhale to scoop up the belly, round the spine up toward the ceiling, let your head fall. Inhale to extend, lift the chest, then exhale to flex, round the spine. Go for 2 more, making these as big and fluid as you comfortably can in each direction. 1 more time. Inhale to lift the chest, and exhale to scoop and round. Okay, then we're gonna come back to neutral. Draw those natural curves in your low back, right? I'm gonna step forward just a little bit so I have room on my mat behind me. So you're gonna bring your left foot back. So reach your left foot back, toes down on the floor, ball of the foot down. So right, the toes are bending here. We're trying to get some mobility through those toe joints. You're gonna keep your leg really straight. And then you're gonna rock back, stretching your calf a little bit more, and rock forward, stretching your toe joints a little bit more. So continuing to try to spread the toes out so that pinky to big toe are reaching down to the floor. Good, keep your hips nice and level. Good, you guys. And keep your leg really straight so that we're opening the front of that hip joint again. You might be feeling a little wrist stretch too as you rock forward. Good, go for 1 more. And then you'll bring that knee in. Okay, you can always come up to your knuckles if you need to, or we've talked about before, if you have the hexagonal weights that you can hold on to and put the weights down, you can always do that as well. We'll give the wrists a little break here in just a second. Reach your right leg back. Okay, so really try to get the ball of the foot down, the toes reaching down to the mat, and then you're gonna rock back to stretch the calf a little bit more, and rock forward to stretch the toe joints. Keeping that leg nice and actively straight so that we're continuing to open up the front of the hip joint as well. Lots of things going on here at once. It's a little city plank action too, right? You can feel how your arms, your shoulders, and your abdominals are working to keep you in this nice long plank position. Go for 2 more, forward and back. And then bring that knee back in. So just come off of your hands for a second. Stay up on your knees with your hips open. Do a couple exaggerated wrist circles. Good. And reverse those wrist circles. A lot of good weight bearing work on those wrists. Sometimes it can be tiring. Shake it out. Little splashes. Good. Okay, take a second to reach the hands behind you if you can, or you can keep your hands on your thighs, whichever one you can comfortably get to. And then just take a little inhale as you back bend. Just a little bit, just a little lift of the chest. And then exhale, release. 1 more time. Inhale to lift the chest. Reach the hands out away from you, and then exhale. All right, we're gonna come back down to all fours, do a little tail wag. So once you get down onto all fours, you're gonna lift your right foot. Inhale as you side bend to the right, peek that foot over your shoulder, and then exhale to the left. So going side to side, getting some nice side bend through the spine and the torso, keeping that head and the chest lifted as you look over the shoulder in each direction. Inhaling to the right, then exhaling to the left. Go for 1 more time each direction. And then bring that back in and place that foot down. Lift your left foot, inhale to the left first, and exhale to the right. Again, just go in as far as you comfortably can in each direction, and it's okay if they don't feel even. Just go as far as you comfortably can, looking for that foot over your shoulder. Last time to the right, and then bring that back in. Okay, from here, let's back the knees up a little bit so you're a little bit more spread out. You're gonna shift your weight back towards your heels, and then keep your arms nice and straight as you shift your weight forward and push the floor away as you lift up into a little extension. Exhale to press back, and inhale to come forward. So your push forward and back can be as small or as big as it feels comfortable. I'm demonstrating a pretty big range of motion, but you might also be doing a much smaller range. You might be going only back as far as this and as forward as this. Whatever feels comfortable for your body this morning is going to be really beneficial. Let's go for 1 more. Pushing back, inhaling to come forward, nice strong lift. Good. work. From here, we're gonna come down onto the stomach, give those wrists a little break, okay? So make your way down onto your stomach. Prop yourself up on your elbows to start, okay? So elbows are underneath your shoulders. Palms can be down or fists down, whatever feels comfortable this morning. And you want to think about reaching those legs out away from you, keeping them really long and lifting the upper body away from the floor. So pubic bone is heavy. The hip bones are gently lifting up away from the floor. And that space between your shoulder blades is lifting up away from the floor. We're going to hold here for 2 more full breaths. Really active, full front of the body extension exercise here. And then you're going to slowly lower yourselves down. Now remember, you can always take a pillow or a folded up towel underneath your stomach. If you want a little support for your chest, give you a little bit more space and support for your chest. It'll also give you a little bit of low back support. If you know that you prefer one of those things when we're on our stomach, go for that. Okay, you can do this whole set with that underneath your stomach. We're going to do a little bit of extension work from here. So you can have your pillow underneath your stomach for all of these. You're going to reach those legs out nice and long. Keep your shoulders away from your ears and your hands pretty close to your shoulders. Okay, we're going to do that little tight elbow mini extension. So you're going to inhale as you start to lift, keeping those elbows down. And then exhale to lower back down with control. Inhale to lift up, open up the chest. And exhale to lower down. And remember, if your feet are cramping, which sometimes happens in this position, you are always welcome to turn your toes and your legs out gently into external rotation, which sometimes helps. Now on these next one, we're going to do 4 more. You're welcome to keep these miniature, or you can push up a little bit higher. Elbows might lift a little bit, and then exhale to lower back down. But with your hands really close to your shoulders, never going to get all the way up to straight. That's not your goal. You're lifting up as high as you can through your spine, keeping everything nice and lengthened and strong. Hip bones come with, and then you lower back down with control. Go for 1 more. Head, collarbone, chest, lift, and then lower all the way back down. Rest your cheek to one side. Let your arms round down if that feels comfortable. You can also let your head rest on your hands. Bend your knees, switch your legs side to side a few times. Get a little low back and leg movement. And then when you're ready, you're going to stretch those legs out long again. So from here, keep the arms long by the side, palms facing the floor. See if you can comfortably keep your legs a little bit closer together for this one and parallel. So knees and tops of the feet down on the floor. And keep your nose hovering. We're just going to lift the arms up and then lower them back down. So you're keeping a little lift of your head, collarbone nice and wide. Take an inhale here. Exhale to lift the arms up. Inhale to lower the hands back down. Exhale to lift. So working on a little shoulder extension from this little nose and chest hover. Exhaling to lift, inhaling to lower. 1 more, and you're going to hold those arms up. On your inhale, you're going to lift the upper body a little higher, reach your fingertips towards your feet, and then exhale to lower the torso back to that nose hover. Keep those hands off the mat. Inhale to lift up, open up the chest. Exhale to lower down. We're lifting up into a big long rocket here, and then exhale to lower down. Inhale to lift up. Exhale to lower down. Last 2, inhale to lift, exhale to lower, try to keep that pubic bone grounded as you lift, and then lower all the way down. Rest your cheek to one side or onto the backs of your hands. You can either just take a couple nice deep breaths into your belly, or you can bend your knees and switch your legs again if your feet and your legs need a little bit of movement. Just take a couple breaths there. Nice, and then when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders, push yourself up and come into a child's pose. Remember, if it's comfortable for you to let your bum rest on your heels, you can rest down into a traditional child's pose. You can also just scoop up the belly, round the spine a little bit, and reach back. If that's more comfortable on your knees or your hips. And just take a couple breaths wherever you are. You can stack your fists, make a little pillow for your forehead, so your head can rest and your neck can relax. So wherever you're comfortable resting, Take 2 more slow, full breaths into the back side of your body so your back can stretch, your back muscles can expand. All right, so from here, make your way back up to all fours one more time. Okay, so we're gonna work on that reciprocal reach of the opposite arm and leg. All right, so again, make sure that your wrists are comfortable. You can always come to the very edge of your mat or fold it up, heel of the hand on the edge, fingers down. Okay, that'll give you a little wrist support, a little less wrist extension work, which sometimes is all you need to feel comfortable in this position. Right, so keep the torso lifted away from the floor, belly pulled up away from the floor. Take an inhale from here. And on your exhale, you're gonna reach your right arm forward and your left leg back, trying to keep your hips nice and level. Inhale to bring the hand and the knee back in. Exhale to switch. Lifting left arm and right leg. Inhale to bring it in. Exhale to lift. Inhale to bring everything in. Exhale to reach. So we're reaching the opposite arm and leg out away from each other, trying really hard to keep the torso as still as possible. Exhaling to reach. Inhaling to bring it in. Exhale to reach. Keep pulling the abdominals up away from the floor. Chest open. Let's go one more time each side. Exhale, reach. Inhale. Exhale, reach. Inhale to bring it back in. And then you're going to tuck those toes under and shift your weight back towards your feet. Okay, you can come down onto your forearms if you're tired of being on those wrists. And just a little stretch through those feet, right? Stretching out those toes. You can rest down if it feels comfortable, or you can keep your bum lifted. Take one more breath here. And then you're going to untuck the toes. Bring the elbows right underneath your shoulders. Okay, and you keep those palms down on the floor. So your bum is now higher than your chest, right? So it's tempting to sag your belly down toward the floor. Keep your abdominals lifted so your spine is still in a nice neutral position. You're going to drop your chest down, letting your shoulder blades come together, and then press the floor away, separating the shoulder blades. Just a little scapula movement here. Keep the belly pulled up away from the floor so your low back is supported as you bring the shoulder blades toward each other and then push them away from each other. Let your breath stay nice and easy here. Take 2 more. Last one. Good. And then push yourself up and come into a seated position one more time. And we'll just end with a little seated side bend. So from here, you can take your legs out in front. So you can sit on your pillow too. Let's actually do that this morning. Take your pillow or your head prop and sit right on top of it. Okay, and then it'll just give you a little support for your hips, a little extra cushion, a little relief for your hamstrings as well. And then we're going to keep the feet down on the floor, knees bent, fingertips out to the side. Okay, and I'm going to show a modification as we side bend to the right. So if you're, again, got any shoulder and neck issues going on, like I've got a little shoulder issue still, you can take your hand to your shoulder, and as you side bend to the right, you can just reach through the elbow, but keep the hand down on the shoulder, which will take a little pressure off the neck and the shoulder if reaching causes any discomfort, and then exhale to come back up. But if you're not having any discomfort, you can just reach that straight arm out and over. Okay, so go to whichever one feels comfortable. Inhale as you side bend in, like me, you might need to do one on one side and something different on the other side, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nice. Inhaling into your side bend, reaching through your arm or your elbow. Exhale to come back up, and inhale to reach. Let's go one more time each side. All right, you can reach up. Your body will allow. Exhale. And one more time. Reach. Good. Take a couple big exaggerated shoulder rolls up, back, and down. Good. And then keep those hands reaching for the floor at your hips. Look left and right a few times. Breathe in nice and steady, keeping your chest open. One more time, left and right. Good, nice work, and you are all done.